this was an interesting case test of people's trust in their politicians or their health system. And, statistically, we didn't do as well as I would have expected. In fact, I'm cited as some, mastermind of some evil plot in many, many cases. So, no, I didn't expect any of that. In some ways, the politicization of, taking vaccines and helping protect other people, you could almost say that's a step backwards. I hope vaccine acceptance for other diseases like measles is not reduced by this. But, a lot of people jumped in and took the vaccines, but a meaningful minority in most countries were led down a path of believing that not only, were there rare side effects, but that the vaccine wasn't properly tested or was part of some evil conspiracy. Malaria eradication will be incredibly difficult. Further out in the future, we'll actually have gene drive, which changes the genetics of the mosquitoes. We have great tools today that we need to keep evolving, and some very exciting ones in the pipeline, because those will be key to achieve our ultimate goal of eradication.
Gates has, and this isn't a maybe thing. I got an article from NPR citing a study, and there's multiple other studies. They can use mosquitoes. What they've done is they call them flying syringes, right? So they genetically modify these mosquitoes. They bite you, and when a mosquito bites you, it puts spit in you, for lack of a better term. I mean, it regurgitates something into your skin. That's why you get that itchy spot after a mosquito bites you. Well, the stuff that they put back into you can act as a vaccine. And so they've engineered mosquitoes to have malaria vaccines in them. I've got a ton of information on this. And there you go, NPR. They've got these mosquitoes that can vaccinate you against malaria. Now, let me tell you how this works, Alex. So what they do is they take these mosquitoes and they bioengineer them, and they say, well, listen, these mosquitoes that we've bioengineered have malaria, but it can't make you sick. So they claim to genetically engineer it so that it can't spread malaria, but that can make you, have enough of the dead or attenuated virus in you that you can create an immune response. Well, the problem is what if that doesn't work? Aren't you just spreading malaria? And then you're putting it out there in a genetically modified way. Who knows how it's going to evolve from there, because you've tinkered with nature then. So you've got this disastrous situation where Gates is engineering something that he says we can't, it won't spread. No, that won't spread at all. And we should just trust Bill Gates because he's a good guy. If you put it in the mosquitoes, how do you get informed consent? That's completely illegal.
Now, malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here just so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the auditorium a little bit. There. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience. Take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3.
Made billions out of creating super clunky corporate software. What you didn't realize is that Bill Gates doesn't think of himself that way. Bill Gates doesn't think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God, in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle. This is over your yard and our oceans and the whole planet. Now, according to Forbes, Frank Kutch, who's the project's top investigator, quote, does not know what the results might bring. Well, just experiment with the globe and find out what happens. It's cool, though. He's a billionaire.
Yeah, so I never met Donald Trump before he was elected. There was a thing during the election where he and I were at the same place, and I avoided him. Anyway, then he got elected, and so I went to see him in December. He knew my daughter Jennifer because Trump has this horse show thing down in Florida. In fact, he went up and talked to Jen and was being super nice. And then, like 20 minutes later, he flew in a helicopter to the same place. So clearly he had been driven away, but he wanted to make a grand entrance in a helicopter. Anyway, so when I first talked to him, it was actually kind of scary how much he knew about my daughter's appearance. But Melinda didn't like that too well. Anyway, so I saw him at Trump Tower. I said, hey, science and innovation is a great thing. You should be a leader who drives innovation. And that conversation was about a broad set of things in energy, in health, in education. Pick things you want to do that are big. HIV vaccine, you could, accelerate that. Be associated with innovation. And then the second time I saw him was the March after that, so March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines. And somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things. And I said, no, that's a dead end. That would be a bad thing. Don't do that.